The witness shall testify. People of Labyrinthia who have gathered in this court, I will now tell you the true story. Many of you will certainly find it hard to believe and difficult to accept. Nevertheless, I ask you please lend me an ear and listen with open minds. Spella, my dear daughter, I ask that you do the same too. Is it testimony or is it a cutscene? It's testimony. Although you know me as the storyteller, I have one more identity. I am the president of Labyrinthia Inc. This whole town is one of Labyrinth's research facilities. It may be hard for you to comprehend. This land is rich in a very special substance, which affects everyone who lives here. This substance enables the manipulation of people's minds, and that is what Labyrinthia is researching. This experiment began 10 years ago. The townsfolk all became test subjects. What? That took a completely different turn. I don't understand. What does it all mean? I don't quite understand what I've just heard. I do not blame you. I suppose all the townsfolk are just as confused. Labyrinthia is an artificial town, created entirely by me. But, of course, as artificial as it may be, it is the reality for those that live here. For the past 10 years, I have been bringing the illusion to life by writing the story. I am lost for words. It feels as if the whole world has been turned on its head. Your Honor, it is certainly not an easy matter to grasp this new situation at once. Regardless, I suggest we hear more of what the witness has to say. Yes, I agree. Let's continue. The defense may begin the interrogation. Thank you. Oh, man. What an unexpected turn. President of Labyrinthia.
Hold it!
This is too much. I don't even know where to start. Labyrinthia Inc.? That's a name I've heard before. It is a global pharmaceutical company with headquarters in England. If my memory serves me right, it was founded by Arthur Cantabella. Indeed, that is my true name. Were you familiar with that, Mr. Wright? Sure, yeah, I've heard of Labyrinthia Inc., of course. Labyrinthia Inc. is known for developing a completely harmless anesthetic about 20 years ago. It is now widely used in hospitals all around the world. The company is also working on various other plant-derived sedatives, revolutionizing medicine. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised by your vast knowledge, Mr. Layton.
Objection!
That's irrelevant. That fact is just based on the real world we're from, not Labyrinthia. The real world, Mr. Wright? Then what would you call the world we're in now? Do you think this is a fantasy? No, that's not quite what I meant. Mr. Wright, I do not mean to be so rude as to presume I know what thoughts are running through your head. However, Labyrinthia is certainly not a place within a book or in the past. Labyrinthia is a part of the world we know. Huh? Bah! How could a town like this exist in the real world? Do you think it's impossible? Why would that be? Are you saying that everyone would know about an unusual town like this if it existed? It's something like that. Anyway, it would be on the map at least. No, I'm afraid that cannot be so. This town is not marked on any map. It doesn't officially exist. What do you mean? The answer is quite simple. This whole town is one of Labyrinth's research facilities.
Hold it!
This whole town is a research facility? Yes, this whole area is a private property of Labyrinthia Inc. So, they own all of this land then. That is why Labyrinthia is not marked on any map and people from the outside cannot enter. We have taken measures to ensure that this town is not noticed by local residents. What measures are you talking about? The wall, right? The wall. Consider the fact that magic is supposed to exist in this town. Perhaps special mechanisms that were used to create magic also serve to conceal Labyrinthia. There are limits to what magic the Shades are capable of producing on their own, after all. That is the case indeed. The magic in this town has been made feasible owing to the latest technology. Technology? Tricks? I cannot believe this. There is one question. There is no industry in Labyrinthia. How do you obtain necessary commodities? Very observant, aren't you? All commodities are regularly shipped in by sea. A young man once made his way here on a freighter and took a spell out of the town. Oh, we're finally back to... Carmine. Was that his name? Oh, it's been so long. Ah, okay. That was Carmine Accidenti, a friend of mine. I see. But is something on this scale really possible? As you might suspect, it would be beyond the power of Labyrinthia Inc. to keep a facility this size a secret for so long. Labyrinthia is a project co-funded by British government. It's a government project? But what would be their stake in this? Mind control, Phoenix. You idiot. And they have invisibility cloaks. It's all because of my beliefs. By the way. Yes, Your Honor? What is a research facility? I've never heard of anything like that before. Ah, yes. That was careless of me. Naturally, you wouldn't know what it means. How should I explain? This whole town is my creation. That's what it was about. In other words, it's all your story. That makes it all clear. Swing and a miss, Your Honor. Getting back to the topic. There is an important reason why we have chosen to build such a facility here. This land is rich in a very special substance which affects everyone who lives here. Hold it! Special substance? What does it actually do? This area has been isolated since ancient times, developing its own unique culture. There are underground ruins on the verge of the town. We found writings there, presumably left by the natives of this land. A bell that was supposed to be there was missing. So you have seen the ruins. I suspected that you would find them. Then perhaps you have also noticed that everyone who lives here has a very peculiar condition. I can't just sit here quietly like a patient old man when you're saying such things. Just what kind of condition is it? You have every right to know. This condition makes people fall unconscious upon the sound of a certain metal being struck. The bell metal, Phoenix, the bell metal. Pure silver. And so, there is not a single object made of silver in Labyrinthia. Now that I think of it, that's true. Just imagine what a disaster a fancy dinner would be if everyone fainted whenever they used silver cutlery. This condition is an integral part of magic. How so? All inhabitants of Eldritch Woods carry small silver bells. I see now. The Shades ring the bells when they need to create the illusion of magic. Everyone present falls unconscious, and the Shades set to their work. Why doesn't it affect the Shades? Isn't it because of the proximity? You're in the area? I don't understand. Look at where that Shade's hand was. That's the secret of the time-stealing Magic Darklaw told us about. Now that they mention it. Kira had a small bell with her when we saw her back at the marketplace. We have been researching this condition at Labyrinthia Inc. And finally, we discovered its cause. It was the groundwater. Water causes it? The groundwater contains a certain unique substance found in the soil in this area. So if you drink that water, you get this silver allergy thing? Of course we've been drinking it. It's impossible to live without water. Of course. That's why everyone who lives here has that condition. Ah, okay. That explains my last question. Oh dear. You needn't worry. This condition is harmless, especially as silver is unknown to the townsfolk. Something's still not quite right, though. If the sound of silver bells makes people pass out, why don't the shades pass out too? Oh, that was my question too. They don't drink the water. Although the effect of the substance in the groundwater is powerful, it doesn't last long. The condition will vanish after a day or so without drinking that water. That's convenient. That substance's effects are limited to humans. It can also affect plants to a greater extent. Plants are affected by it? Our research was focused on the plants rather than humans. Why? That doesn't make sense. Enables the manipulation of people's minds.
Hold it!
That sounds really scary. Just what is this about? The substance enters the groundwater, affecting organisms that consume it. People who drink it daily acquire that odd condition. They fall unconscious upon hearing the sound of silver metal. Yes. Although, the substance in the groundwater also has a tremendous effect on plants. Wildflowers in the area contain a certain poison. Upon my beard, poison? This poison doesn't harm the body. It has the effect of manipulating the mind. So it brainwashes people. I've been writing the story for 10 years. The title of the story is Historia Labyrinthia. The ink I used to write it was made from those plants. Oh, Nick, do you remember how funny the ink smelled? That was the gas released when the ink evaporates, and that's where the trick is. What? Those that inhale the gas become extremely susceptible to suggestion. That's why they hand out the flyers at the parades. You mean brainwashing? They will believe anything they are told, or anything they read, however strange or unrealistic. It will be imprinted into their minds as the truth. So that was the true purpose of the parades. Pages of the story, written in that special ink, were regularly distributed among the townspeople. It was done so that everyone would be in a state of hypnosis. Indeed. The creation of a fully controlled town with the inhabitants subject to long-term hypnosis. That was one of the topics of our research. Then, the story that is written in the Historia Labyrinthia. You could call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, realized through the Shade's work and the hypnotic effect of the ink vapors. Is that how it was all this time? Labyrinthia used hypnosis to control all these people. I can't believe that the government was supporting that. It's a lot like, it reminds me of, what was that Jim Carrey movie? The Truman Show. This experiment began 10 years ago. The townsfolk all became test subjects.
Hold it!
It's pretty messed up. All the people subjected to this experiment have been living here all this time? No. We started with just a few people, gradually getting more and more. I must say that I'm afraid of what the answer to this question might be. But where did these people come from? You haven't resorted to abduction by any chance, have you? Of course not. Every test subject signed a contract with Labyrinthia. A contract to have their memories erased and be used like pawns in a story. The current inhabitants of this town have one thing in common. They are all dissatisfied with their lives and want to start anew. Forgetting about their mistakes, forsaking unwanted identities. There are more people like that out there than you might think. They have all agreed to participate in our research. But that's insane. It's not as unreasonable as you suggest. We give them a new identity, a chance to start their life again. In return, they subject themselves to hypnosis and live in this town as our test subjects. In order for this project to be possible, we suppress their memories of the past, including the memory of signing the contract. So, ultimately, they are not aware of what's going on. I couldn't agree more. I've got no idea what's going on. Oh, poor Judge. Oh, cute poor Judge. Let me make this clear, Mr. Wright. We do not erase their memories. We suppress them. They will regain their memories of life before Labyrinthia once their contract is over. So, this place was uninhabited before you started the research 10 years ago. And you've managed to keep everyone in a state of hypnosis for 10 years straight? Can you really hypnotize someone for that long? I mean, 10 years is one heck of a long time. It was achieved through the distribution of the story during parades. The ink vapors have a powerful effect, but it wouldn't last 10 years, of course. With each parade, the effect was renewed. That's why the parades took place at irregular intervals. That was the true purpose of that event. I have been born and raised here. It was a poor, small town with no industry to speak of that had fallen behind the times. Ever since I was a child, I had one friend that was especially close to me. He was a bright boy, curious about the world. His name was Newton Belduke. Sir Newton Belduke? The alchemist. So they were childhood friends. The plot thickens. He had always been interested in the unique natural features of this land. There was really nothing here, but to us, this area was an exciting place worth exploring. And one day, we made an astonishing discovery on the outskirts of the town. We stumbled upon the entrance to the underground caverns, leading to the colossal ruins. Whoa, look at that, Newton! This is so amazing! And this strange writing, I've never seen anything like it before! Because he was young. Young people sound like that. We found ancient writings in the ruins. Newton managed to decode some of them. According to our findings, a highly advanced culture had existed on the land where our little town was built. Some great calamity had befallen the natives, and they migrated elsewhere. They believed that plants and water in that area were cursed by an entity they called the Great Witch Bazella. The natives sealed the curse within the ruins and left in search for a new home. You plagiarized the whole story? You lazy sack of crap! That is all that we managed to decipher. I guess that's why he's the storyteller and not the story writer. Bazella's curse. It was sealed in the ruins, you say? Would that be the Bell of Ruin? The Bell of Ruin? That's the bell from the bell tower. I wonder why it's got an ominous name like that. Regrettably, we couldn't get in any further information from the writings at that time. Needless to say, Newton and I were very excited by the discovery. Ah, look at them! So full of youth! I knew it! This place is special! It has some kind of mysterious power! If we could find out what that is, our humble town would become famous! You know what? I'm gonna do that! I will unravel the mystery of this place! Said a young storyteller. And so, Newton began studying the indigenous plants and substances dissolved in the groundwater. On the other hand, I studied economics and management in a university in London. I dreamed of bringing prosperity to this poor, forgotten town. I wanted to change it for the better with my own hands. Meanwhile, Newton had succeeded at extracting a new anesthetic from the local plants. Was that the anesthetic which led to the foundation of Labyrinthia? Yes, it was a huge success for Labyrinthia Inc., and before we knew it, we were making a fortune. We wanted the whole world to hear about our hometown. Alas, fate was not kind to us, as we never realized that dream. Everyone in our town had died. All the townspeople perished. Everyone. What on earth happened to them? The fire! Duh! That does not matter anymore. We purchased the environs of our town. The mountains, the lakes, the plains, everything. Then, 10 years ago, having received financial support from the government, we started Project Labyrinthia. It was much smaller in the beginning. It started as no more than a village. Over the course of 10 years, it slowly grew into a town. The population increased as well. More people were signing the contract with Labyrinthia, slowly increasing the number of inhabitants, correct? Yes, they would sign the contract, be hypnotized and assigned a role, and then be introduced to the world of the story. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here, so stay tuned for the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye bye!